First, I get my canvas, and I usually use one by one when I'm doing characters, but it's important to always do what feels right for you and what's in your comfort zone. I use the pencil tool to sketch out my characters, and of course I start by drawing the circle. I decided to do it in the corner so then I could later draw a full body proportion. Of course, before I do that, I make sure that my pencil tool's at the right size that I'd like, and that's usually a 5.7. After that, I start drawing the guidelines, also known as the cross, which helps me, one, get the right proportions for the face, and also tell where my character is looking. Once that's done, I start drawing the neck, and then I move on to the eyes. And I've been craving thinner eyes lately, so that's what I was attempting here. I've done it on characters before, but this character was different than all my other characters because it was a new animal that I was trying out, which you will find out which one it is later. Eyes can be hard, especially when there's so many different styles and kinds of eyes. Also, really important, always remember to write your signature. It doesn't matter where it is, just always remember to add your signature. I tend to forget mine and then I regret it later. Back to the sketch, it's always important to understand that if you're having trouble drawing your eyes, then it's okay to start over. Starting over is a part of being an artist, and it just means that you're trying to get it to something that you like. And that is really important to some people. And especially for me personally, it's really important because I'm a perfectionist. And so if I don't like how something looks, I like to change it so that it looks better to me and hopefully looks better to you. Like here, I decided to redo the bottom lines of the eyes because it made it look so tired. And that wasn't what I was hoping for, so redrawing the eyes I think really helped it. Even though, unfortunately, I ended up not using this design. So, basically, in simple terms, this guy doesn't make it into the final picture because I did not like how he turned out. Either way, it was really good to get a feel of how I wanted it to be. So basically, this was a test. Moving on to the hair, I redid it multiple times because I just didn't know what kind of hairstyle I wanted her to have. And, of course, it's always been a difficult thing to me, especially because I like it when all my characters have a different and unique style for their different personality or just to recognize differences between my characters, because some of them do look quite alike. First, I tried to do this fluffy kind of hair, but I didn't like that. And then I tried to redo the front side of the hair and do a swoop, but that didn't work either. And then I tried to do where it goes up, and I did keep that for quite some time. And then I tried some overlapping on the back hair, and that seemed alright to me, but I of course didn't keep it in the final design. I also find it funny now how I just decided that I wanted to redefine those eyelashes. Moving on to the mouth, I wanted it to have sharp teethies, but I didn't know how to incorporate that, so I tried first with the mouth open, and so you could see the full set of teeth, but I ended up not liking that, so I redid it, and then I tried to make it where they're just sticking out, something like the saber-toothed tiger. And I've been having a habit of where I do a gentle brush of pencil underneath the line of the mouth, and then I blur that to make it look like a darker lower lip. I redefined the inner eye once I had the correct angle to draw it, and then I started slightly sketching out where I wanted the body to go. Of course, I got sidetracked halfway through because I decided that I wanted to readjust the face or try to fix the hair because I still didn't like it. The goal of the first sketch was for it to be more feminine, and I decided that I didn't like that later. But this was a test, and then I tried to add a bit more swoop to the hair, and I did like how that turned out, but it didn't fit with the first sketch, at least in my opinion. And so I undid that, and then I tried to add a, like, hair thing. I forgot what it's called. But, like, it's an extra piece of hair. But then I replaced that with a bow because, again, one of the main ideas that I had was that this character would be obsessed with bows, and I ended up removing that feature. I might add it back, I don't know. And then I finally started to draw the body. And of course, it didn't really work out the first time because I tried to draw arms and that just... Oh lord, that was not working. I ended up just drawing the body with more of like a poncho sort of shape. And this reminded me of one of my childhood games that I grew up with. Some of you may know it. It's called Undertale, and it's made by Toby Fox. And one of the characters in that game is named Monster Kid, and he has no arms. And I don't know, this character just reminded me of him, like it gave his vibes. Of course, if you haven't played the game, it's a good idea to go and do that because the plot is just really incredible. There's all these different timelines, and I love the game. Can someone please tell me why drawing pointy feet is so addictive that I cannot help but do it for every single one of my characters? This is what Sketch 1 ended up looking like. Of course, I didn't keep this design, but some of the features that I added into it did move on to the next sketch. So moving on, I added another layer, but I just hid the first sketch because even though I didn't like it, it was still a first attempt, and it's something that you can always learn from and review over so that next time you do it, you know what you're doing, and you know what you don't like, what you do like, and all that stuff. Don't mind whatever this was here. I was trying to move it to the other corner because that's where I was going to attempt to draw next, but it was being weird. First step, circle. Second step, cross. Zoom into the face. Third step, draw those gorgeously thin eyes. Somehow, I drew them much better the second time around, so I'm assuming my hands decided, oh, you know what? I like you today. Let's work. Once I accomplished getting the right eye shape I wanted, I moved on to the mouth, and I didn't really know what expression I wanted to give him. So I kind of went with like a pout, sort of, and then started the journey of trying to find the right expression. I tried anger, I tried confusion, and then I decided I liked a concerned look a lot more. Why he's concerned, I'll never quite know. Look, it's the swoop. Remember how I said I liked it? Well, I liked it so much, it made it to the next sketch. For his hairstyle, I did a lot of swoops and curves, and I tried to make it look really fluffy. This is because I have an obsession with fluffy hair. I was able to draw more of the hair, but as I was working on the body, I didn't like how long it looked. So then I erased it and made it just a tiny bit shorter. Continuing with the body, I have a habit where when I don't want to draw the full body, I just do it to where usually like a short-sleeved shirt would go. And that not only saves space, but it also gives me room to draw more sketches later on. Adding more details to the face, I like to do these little, I'd say scratch marks, but they're not really scratches, and they act as a placeholder for where the nose and cheeks will be, because if you have seen my videos before, I don't usually draw noses. After that, I move on to the lower lip again, and of course that's just a gentle brush with the pencil tool and then blur it. And then I redefined the lip because it looked like it didn't exist for a moment. After that, I tried out the extra piece of hair again, which I found out is called the ahoge in Japanese anime. You may have noticed that I only tried 2, and I did end up keeping the heart-shaped one that I had attempted in the very first sketch, because that one just, it felt so right. I added a few touch-ups to make sure everything looked clearly defined. That way I could move on to doing more sketches. Now, usually when I'm done doing one sketch, I add another layer to do another. That way, when I'm erasing from one sketch, it doesn't accidentally erase another if they're too close, or maybe they're sharing a same spot or something like that. It's just much easier on me. Maybe it's different for other artists, but that's just how I do it. Here is when something clicks in my brain that said, I know just the colors to give this character. So this part is where I took the color wheel to try and find good colors that I knew would go well with them. For lighter skin tones, I usually go to orange on the color wheel, and then I typically go to a light version of that color, because usually somehow it looks like a skin color. And so I did that for this character, and I used the glass pen to make a color palette on the side. It was very short and quick, so it's not very good at the moment, but it does get better. For the hair color, I wanted it to be light pink, because this was actually inspired by one of Melanie Martinez's songs, which recently came out with a music video, and pink was on the main palette of that entire video. I decided to use gray for the eye color. I'm not exactly sure what possessed me to decide that, but I think it may have been my short obsession with Percy Jackson at the time, and one of the characters named Annabeth has gray eyes, so maybe that was it. I may be wrong. I chose a maroonish color. Is that maroon? Or is that brown? Either way, the color that I chose for his clothes is like a mix of maroon and brown, I'm gonna say. And I just thought that went really well together with the colors that I had already chosen for him. Once I was done with the first sketch, I moved on to the second one, where I would begin adding the colors into it. I really liked how it looked initially the first time, but when I did the actual full outline with the colors, it looked a bit off, so I might change the colors in the end later. Second sketch, I decided to do a more pleased emotion instead of a pout like the original sketch. I thought it would be nice to add different facial expressions throughout all the different sketches to show different sides of him. Now here's the difficult process of trying to remember what he looks like without having to go back and forth. So first I tried to move the first sketch over to the side by duplicating it, but then that didn't really work too well. I mean, it did for a little while, but then I decided instead to just take a picture of the sketch from my phone and then use that as a reference while I continued to work on the second sketch. Now to move the unused reference out of the way, so then I can finish the second sketch and then add colors. I apologize for the audio sounding so strange throughout this entire video. This is the first time experience for me, actually recording my voice and then doing a voice changing effect on it. So, of course, this is new to me. And so, of course, it's not going to be perfect the first time, but at least I'm trying. I decided to start off coloring with using the skin color that I had picked out, but usually when I actually do an entire full body proportion, which you will see later, I do the hair first, so then I can just do the skin under it, and that way, if I mess anything up on the skin, it doesn't go over the hair or anything like that. Instead, it's just under it. I'm very bad at explaining, I am so sorry, but it will be easier to show rather than tell, so hopefully that will explain it a lot better for me. I'm just gonna try to make the video speed up a little bit, because even right now, as I'm making this recording, how I'm editing the video at this moment. It's over 40 minutes long, and I don't know if you guys actually want to sit and watch the whole time of that, so I'll just speed it up a little bit, and hopefully it will be a little bit shorter. We'll see in the end. But hey, if you like it being a little bit longer, please let me know down in the comments so that maybe I can do that in the future if that's what you guys would prefer. After I've redefined his cheeks and nose, I then move on to the final sketch, the one we've all been waiting for, the full body proportion. And before you ask a question, what are you doing here? This isn't the full body proportion. I actually wanted to give him a piercing originally, and I tried like an eyebrow piercing, which I don't have for any of my other characters. I tried a nose piercing, which I have for a few of my other characters, and I tried a lip piercing, but those just all didn't fit for him, so I ended up not having him having any piercings. And right here, I was finishing up the eyes, giving them some little detail in life, and then I moved on. For those of you who are not artists, and you are watching this video, please bear with me. You don't know how hard expressions are to draw, especially when it's with new characters and you are still figuring out their personality. Emotions and personalities and expressions all go together, and they are key to how your character is, how they act, and how they feel. As you have seen through the video so far, I keep thinking I want to give him an irritated look or a grumpy look or something like that just makes him a little edgy. And I decided in the end that I didn't think that really fit for him, so instead I made him a little goofy goober. To fit in with his assigned animal, I gave him tiny little teethies. And honestly, they give me shark vibes, but that, unfortunately, is not the animal that he is. Now, to start giving you hints on what kind of animal he is, the teeth for that animal are often put in a warp shape. I'm not exactly sure how to describe it, but they're all around in a circle. Hooray. Now I moved on to the hair and copying my precious Monster Kid boy vibes. Once I've finished that, I move on to the details in the face, and then I can finally move on to the outline, the part that is probably one of the easiest steps to do besides sketching. Drawing the legs was pretty simple. The only difficult part was realizing that I made him too short, and then having to adjust that. After redefining him just a tiny little bit so that his limbs pop, I finally gave him his name, Kirk. Some of you may be wondering why I decided to name him Kirk. Well, during this year, me and my mom have actually been watching a show together called Gilmore Girls, and one of the characters that was just really funny, sometimes irritating, was actually named Kirk. So although he doesn't have the irritating feature, he sure does have the funny feature to him, which kind of made me want to name him Kirk. But he just gave all the good vibes, and he looks like his name would be Kirk. So henceforth I dub thy name Kirk. Now there's this weird but cool way where you can color over another layer by pinning it over that layer. And so I decided to do his name white with a pink highlight and give it a grayish outline. After that, I started working on the outline where I lower the opacity of the sketching layer and then outline it on a separate layer that goes over that. Make sure not to be on the sketch layer or else it will be of a lower opacity like the original layer. And I've done that before and then I've had to restart the entire thing. It's not fun. There's not really much I can say here because there's not really a lot going on besides the outlining, so I'm just gonna be quiet for the rest of this. I move on to coloring afterwards, starting with the hair, then moving on to the skin, and then the eyes and clothes, and all the little details. I also added a color palette to the side where I could keep track of his colors, and if I ever wanted to draw him again and decide to color for once, then I can just go back to the color palette image and use the colors on there to color him, of course. Just pretend I'm good at explaining and let the video do the showing for me. For whatever reason, I like to make the hair stand out more so they don't look just so plain. And I like to do that by making a gradient just a little bit darker of the actual color of their hair and make it like slightly darker. And I put it from the bottom of the hair towards the middle of the hair. If I did the full hair, then it would change the entire color, and that's not what I want, so just gradients. Yes. So yum scrumdiddlyumptious. To add a bit more detail to the eyes, I make him look emo for a second, and then lower the opacity. And then just add a tiny little heart highlight. Once that's done, you question all life choices, add a little detail, and then do everything else off screen. Now, even though I did do everything else on the page off screen, my lovable ibis already pre-makes a video for me once I'm done. So, until then, I'll start giving you hints on what kind of animal he is. The 2 hints I've given so far is how his teeth are arranged in a vortex, and that he was inspired by Melanie Martinez's video that came out recently. And as of now, it's been 2 months already because I'm a procrastinator. And yeah. The 3rd hint is that they mainly come in colors of brown or black. Take your time to guess. The 4th hint is that their main diet is typically blood, which might give it away, but just keep thinking. There is a lot of carnivores out there. The fifth hint is that they are typically found in shallow, calm, freshwater environments like ponds, lakes, and slow-moving streams. I think 5 is enough hints, so since the video is not over yet, if you do enjoy this, please leave a like and maybe comment what animal you thought it was before the end result. You don't have to, I'm just suggesting because I would like to see what your thoughts are. If you're enjoying this video and you would like to see more, please let me know so then maybe I can start taking suggestions on what to draw, because sometimes I am low on inspiration and it could be really useful. Not only that, but it also could lead to me making more videos, because I know that I do take very long breaks that aren't even meant to be breaks. Well, I could start doing that, we'll see. Who knows? Now, don't mind this little sketch of him having a panic attack. This is part of his character, because once you find out what animal he is, then it will make more sense, and I'll explain afterwards. The moment you have finally waited for, this is a sketch of his animal. You might know it now, but if you have no idea what you're looking at, because I was struggling, coloring for a long time, well, his animal is a leech. I could have made one of the hints that he was a blood-sucking parasite, but then I think that would just ruin the whole idea of having hints for this video, because that's literally the main thing that leeches are known for, if I'm correct. And explaining the panic attack, basically, is that he doesn't like to eat human blood. Instead, he tries to eat more like animal blood, or just eat like vegetation or something like that. Anything so that he doesn't end up harming someone by accident or by mistake. He is a considerate and sensitive little baby that deserves the world. And this is the final result. If you haven't listened to Melanie Martinez's music video yet, it's called LEECHES, and I suggest you listen to it because I love this song. This is all for now, but I do plan on making another video that should come out shortly, because I'm not going to do a voiceover to that one. So, please come back soon. And I hope all of you are having a very great summer.